I'm going to tell you today about the evil truth behind the dating industry. The dating community itself is flawed. When people join this industry, it's because they have a lot of trauma in their life they're trying to resolve. Maybe you had a situation where you're traumatized from a girl that you maybe were in love with that broke your heart. Maybe you grew up in a household where there's no dad or male role models around, but there's something that drew you to it, put you on this journey, this path to understand yourself better. But the problem is, to get validated because they were traumatized in the past, they don't actually get better. I'm also going to talk about why I took down a lot of my infield footage, and I'm talk about what I'm going to do in the future moving forward. What's the big idea? So first of all, let's talk about this community. And in all respects, this community wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for a guy named Mystery. Okay, I don't mean Mr. E, letter E, but Mystery. You know, he was just an incredible dude, and he made more impact on the foundations of this dating community than anybody else I could ever imagine. And sometimes when I hear people talk about him, I hear people talk about him in a way they're like, well, that guy was just known for top hats and black nails. And you're like, whoa, really? That's all you got about from this guy? The guy who invented the attraction, the comfort models, the 3-second rule. There's so much stuff this guy brought to the table. And all you really think about him is black nails and routines, okay? That is incredible because he brought so much more to the table. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this guy in a lot of respects, right? And it saddens me to hear this. And I think one of the big reasons that this happens is the dating community itself is flawed. The industry is flawed, and I'll tell you how. When people join this industry, initially, it's because they have a lot of trauma in their life they're trying to resolve. Maybe they grew up in a single parent household. You've seen it yourself. Maybe you grew up in a household where there's no dad or male role models around. Maybe you had a situation where you're traumatized from a girl that you maybe were in love with that broke your heart, right? If you're a female watching this, maybe you just had an ex-boyfriend who was into this stuff, you didn't understand why, you want to be better. But there's something that drew you to it. You've seen this, right? And what did that do for you? Put you on this journey, this path to move forward and try to understand it better, understand yourself better. But the problem is when people are in this for like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, longer, and they're only taking action to prove something from themselves, to get validated because they were traumatized in the past and are trying to, as hard as they can, to run away from that trauma, they don't actually get better, right? We all know this. Whatever you focus on grows. We've heard this expression a million times. You've heard it and you've seen it in your own life. Whatever you focus on grows. If you focus on bad things, you get more bad things, right? If you have a dating profile and you're like, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that, you just focus on negative energy, you pull that into your life. So in a lot of ways, when you're focused on the thing that you don't want, what you're trying to avoid, you just get more of it. So a lot of people in the dating industry, you know, or people that are attracted to that community, they're focused on pain, trauma, getting revenge on the opposite sex because they hurt them before. And that just leads them down a path of darkness. Let's call it the dark side of the game, if you will. Let's call it that, right? And it's ultimately the sacrifice. There's something you're gonna come to as a payment when you get there. It's not all roses, but it leads you down a dark path. And a lot of times, these people that have followed this path end up having very shallow egos at first, right? They're very fragile egos, and you get a lot of success with dating from the opposite sex. Maybe you have a lot of relationships, you have a huge number of people that you've been intimate with, and it kind of boosts your ego really big, and then you think you are the ultimate dominant person. You think you are the alpha guy. You've seen this. You maybe know somebody like this in your community that's just been doing it for too long, okay? And they start to ultimately think they're the top dog, they're the top shit. And it leads them down an even darker path. You know, I've seen so many dating industry companies, I'm not gonna name any names here, but I've seen so many companies and individuals break apart because the ego just got too fucking big. And ultimately, they had to get big. Like, because when you first start out, you think, I'm nothing, I'm a loser, I'm nobody. That's how you are when you first start out. And to be the best, you gotta start to hypnotize and brainwash, okay? Literally, brainwash yourself to believe that you are the best. The problem is when you brainwash yourself to believe that you are the best and it goes on too long, you ultimately brainwash yourself off a cliff. You lead to your own destruction and your own death, all right? So, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. Okay, but then what happens when you're working with a team? Everybody that's on a big team does this, can't do this alone. You know, and that's why these companies break apart, because you can't have a company where everybody thinks that they are the best. You can't have an industry where everybody thinks they are the best. You know, there's so many people that write articles about the team that I work for, or they make comments about the team that I work for. And ultimately, you gotta understand, this was never a short-term play for us. This was a long-term game plan. Like, when it comes down to it, like, bro, I play for the Lakers of the dating industry. No lie, okay? Mark my words, it's the Lakers of the dating industry. And we're dealing with Kobe's and LeBron's and Shaq's, right? All these players. And when we're playing for the Lakers, it's about winning championships. So everybody plays a role. And for myself, for a long part of the time, I played the, not the guard, I wasn't dribbling the ball down the court, but I played the forward position a lot of the times, right? Or I played the guy that sits second on the bench. And I did that so that we could win championships, because everybody's got a role. And so many times people were like, we're angry at those championships, we're angry at this team. But listen, there's ways you could have gotten better. We focus on coaches like Jim Miller, who was Tony Robbins' head of sales. Okay, and we brought him in, he taught us a lot. We got guys like Eli from Tony Robbins, who did like $2 million with Tony. We got guys like Bill Walsh that we bring in. We have exceptional personal trainers, mindset coaches. I work with guys like Glenn Ackerman. I work with Rita Ora as personal trainer. I used to live with Big Mike from Advanced Nutrients, who had a $50 million company at the time, now $60 million. Like, we bring in the best and we learn from the best. We're constantly humbling ourselves and lowering ourselves down to learning student positions so we can get even better and better, right? If these people who are complaining and arguing and self-destructing, saying they're the best, just spent the same amount of time learning marketing, spent the same amount of time learning public speaking skills. The only reason we're good at public speaking, and I can talk to you like this, is because every weekend of my life for about 5 years, I learned how to talk to an audience off the top of the dome for 3 hours with nothing pre-prepared. Think about what that did for my interpersonal relationships, my social skills, meeting people, right? If people just focused on these things, but instead a lot of people complain. And that kind of left me with a sour mouth or sour taste in my mouth of the dating industry, because I didn't really want to see go down that route. And ultimately, that's where it's always going to end up, because the people that get into it are damaged, and then they get obsessed with their ego and think that they're the best. So the point of that is, ultimately, whatever is your superpower that you usually develop can also be the thing that pulls you down and destroys you. Whatever makes you the best could also make you the worst. Thinking you're the best in the top, number one, could also make you the worst. Can pull you down, all right? So what the point of all this is that I also made a video saying that June 30th, I was going to remove all of my legacy content. June 30th, I was going to delete a whole bunch of hidden camera videos, and we'll put a link to that video in the description so you can see it. We'll pop up the video here on the screen just as a reminder, okay? And I kept my fucking word, didn't I? I swore to you and I promised you that I was going to delete that footage, and I did. I removed it for you for a reason, okay? And I'll tell you what the reason is right now. Part of it was about free speech, but ultimately, if I get too much heat, it ultimately actually destroys the community. This is a really funny thing, the way it works is that if one person attacks too much heat, too much attention, and they were to get into some sort of challenge, it would actually affect the paychecks of my competitors, bro. Legit, think about that, right? Remember the last time that happened with a scandal, what it did to everybody else? So if I take heat, it actually affects the paycheck of my competitor. Think about that, because I'm playing for the Lakers, right? So I removed everything because ultimately it wasn't great, it wasn't useful, and it was holding myself back, and it's gonna hold everybody else back. So this was really the ultimate boss move that I could ever do. And don't be mad that those videos are gone. I did it for a reason. Just be happy that you had time with the real one when it was there. And as you saw, by the way, I took all my videos that were my best contents that I ever made, 10 years of programs, and I put them into the Madison Legacy package. And that was Boss, the execution of inner game, Get Your 10, How to Be a 10 on 10 person to attract your 10, and Boot Camp at Home. So if you're trapped in lockdown somewhere, you could ultimately do a virtual boot camp with me anytime you want. I put all 3 of those programs together inside the Madison Legacy package, okay? In fact, it's still available for a limited time. Get it right now, because you've been thinking about it for a few months watching these videos. Get it, because it won't be available for much longer. Go to madison91.com and check it out. It's 91% off. You're getting my life's work for like 3% of the price. It's fucking crazy. But I wanted to end this chapter in a beautiful way, so I put it out there for you to enjoy. So I read this in a comment the other day. Somebody told me, Madison, you are the last Jedi. And I was thinking the movie, where like Rey climbed up the hill and she gives Luke Skywalker back his lightsaber and he's the last Jedi. Like, I was thinking about that, man. And the truth is, who else is doing it to this level? Not a lot of people are left, right? So me and you, let's be real, bro. Me and you, we are in this together. It's not just me here. This war can't be won alone. We're in this fight together. And ultimately, it started as a fight for free speech, but it's got to transition into something else. And I respect all the other fractures that have come off of this, right? But they all have a challenge with them. So for example, dating advice, okay? Let's call it PUA, all right? That is great. It gets you in the front door. If you're a guy that's never had any interactions with the opposite sex, or you're a woman that's never had successful dating opportunities, it's great because it just opens the front door, gets you out of your house, taking action. The problem with PUA is that you can get lost in that perpetual cycle of always needing a new person and never progressing deeper in relationships, right? But there's also a pill color. Now, the pill color is great. It ultimately opens your eyes to the reality of what's happening on the matrix and interactions, but it doesn't really resolve anything. You're kind of like, I'm the authority and I'm right and I understand all these things that are wrong. Okay, then what? What are you gonna do after that? You're not taking action. You're just upset and angry at the world and the opposite sex, and you become an incel, all right? What's the other option? You can be a man that's going your own way, which sounds ideal at first, but then you're kind of just like not putting yourself out there. You're maybe most likely choosing people that give you choosing signals, and that's how you move forward. And otherwise, you're just kind of waiting and focusing on yourself. But I don't want to be just focusing on myself, because that kills the top of your funnel, right? You're not focusing on new acquisitions of people and leads that you meet. You're just focused on the bottom. So none of these are a complete solution. They all are great. I commend anybody that's, a part of these movements and moves the conversation forward. But I think there's another level that we can achieve here. And I've been really thinking about this a lot for the past several years, but I never just said it publicly because it wasn't the right time. So I'm going to talk about it right here, right now. So we know that a problem cannot be solved at the same level that problem was created, okay? And if you look at somebody like, let's say, Nietzsche, however you want to pronounce it, okay? Great philosopher. Brilliant mind. But a lot of his stuff is kind of just negative, and you read it, you feel kind of down in the dumps, okay? It doesn't actually move the thing forward. And myself as an entrepreneur, I understand that as an entrepreneur, it's all about solving problems. So how do we solve this problem? The problem of all these segments of personal development, and also the problem that women are having. Women are having a huge problem. They're being lied to. I'd like to help them. My goal is this, not just to help guys, but also to help women as well. What's the woman problem? Well, they're told that they can be 35, 38, 39, and someone will always want to settle down with them and have kids, and that's not the case. I can think of personally an ex-girlfriend of mine that I love to death, and sometimes she watches these videos, so hello if you're watching this. This ex-girlfriend of mine, she was a top-level executive at a huge international company, okay, Fortune 500 company. And that was about the time she was like 31 or 32. Unfortunately, we had to break up because we had a long-distance relationship. We didn't see each other very much. And she went on and dated this guy who was a terrible guy, okay, had 2 abortions by this guy, really just fell through the cracks. It got weight, got sick. When COVID came around, she got COVID, and she's just in this swamp of a lifestyle right now. And she's like 37 at the moment. She's basically given the best years of her life over to some guy that was just fuckboy playing around. And I feel horrible about that, right? But no one told her that. No one told her that she can't live that lie. No one told her that, if you get 2 cats and you become a cat lady, you're ultimately like, Mike, you ever this? My cats are my babies. It's like, no, your cat's not your baby. The mother of the cat, that's its baby. That you're a cat stealer. That's what you're a cat stealer. You've kidnapped cats from their mother, and you're replacing cats in your life to ultimately not have a deep relationship with men. Okay, and all these things happen, and people just lie to. Focus on your career for so long, and you can ultimately have the relationship anytime you want. No. So many lies that are happening. So many lies. And guys don't want to date another guy. They want to date a woman that brings feminine qualities to the table. And women don't want to date another woman that's crying and ultimately too vulnerable and can't handle shit. They want to date a man that's masculine. So I've been thinking about, how do we bridge all this together? What's the missing gap? And think about how many women that you've dated in your life that just weren't on the same level. Think about yourself. You found this dating industry content, all right? You found this community. And this community did something amazing for you. It taught you how to manage emotions from within, draw state from inside. We taught you about your reticular activation system, showing how when you focus on something, you tend to focus on more of that. We taught you how to talk and talk forever. We taught you how to have boundaries and standards. We taught you how to deal with conflict. We taught you how to meet new people. We taught you how to negotiate. We taught you public speaking skills. We taught you about so many things. It's like the list of things that people thank me for when I meet them on the street is incredible. But the women that you might have in your life never learned these things. She had no opportunity to learn these things. She may have just been taught, get some quartz crystals and that will solve your problem, or a salt lamp, okay? And so here you are dating somebody where you've worked on you have all these tools that are amazing, but they were not accessible to whoever you were in a relationship with or you tried to date. And you're just like, man, this is a mismatch. Because ultimately, you're maybe going up in your life, hopefully, and this person's kind of going just this way. You know, and it creates this like 90-degree gap where every year you just get further and further away from this person. And I'm really thinking about this. How can we unite men and women properly? That is the mission here. That is my fucking holy mission crusade that I'm on right now. Swear to God, hand on my heart, how do we unite men and women? How do we make them run in parallel so that when you're growing in one area, they're also growing along with you? Maybe not at the same speed, but they're growing along with you. So the information is accessible to them. And this came from a conversation that I had with a student on boot camp actually a few weeks ago in Montreal. He brought all this to my attention. I was like, damn, this makes total sense, right? Remember when you used to come to like our live events and it'd be like fucking going to church? You'd be there, there'd be like crowd surfing, people would be going crazy, be excited and pumped up. And like you're like, man, this content is so fucking good, but I just wish I can introduce it to my girlfriend. But you felt like you couldn't because a little bit too much of a bro atmosphere. You know, the bro atmosphere helped us to talk, but you felt like you couldn't introduce it to your girlfriend. Imagine if this stuff was accessible to the women in your life, where you could actually bring any woman, girlfriend or not, relationship or not, rotation or not, into that experience. Imagine what it would be like if you were in a couple situation and this was so good, your girl that you were dating became like the ambassador and she's like, I want to introduce all my other female friends to this. This is so amazing. It helped out me and John, or whatever your name is, helped out me and this guy. I want to bring him along with it as well. Imagine that existed, okay? That growing in parallel. Keep that idea that in mind. Parallel growth, and you could ultimately unite. I think that's what's missing from all the movements that have been here before. As I mentioned, the color of the pill, the going your way stuff, the PUA stuff. That's ultimately what's been missing. And that's my goal, to move that forward. That is my fucking mission. That is my vision in life. And it's not gonna be an easy one. I don't think it's gonna be easy. If it was easy, somebody else would do it. But you know I have so much more to offer you, man. So much more. This is just, I've been just scratching the tip of the iceberg with what I can do. Honestly, I feel bad because I've given you 20% of what I actually could do. There's 80% that I have in conversations with my friends and guys that I'm really tight with, and I don't put it online because I just couldn't. But I've been thinking about how do I do this? How do I move this conversation forward? So that's what you can look forward for me more of in the future. I'm gonna leave you with an idea here that is not talked about very often, and that is living up to the promise. And I'm gonna say that in today's world, a lot of us are not living up to that promise. We present a great promise to the opposite sex, but we don't live up to it. And I know we don't live up to it because look at the divorce rates, man. Divorce rates are like high 50 percentages, almost 60%, with like 70 to 80% of divorces coming from women, being initiated by them. That's horrible. No wonder nobody wants to get married anymore. Nobody's actually enjoying relationships, okay? Men and women seem like we're getting together, but we're not. I heard there was a guy in my boot camp that was here this weekend, and he's like, I haven't had a date in 2 years. I'm like, 2 years? Calm, funny guy, cool guy, good looking too. I'm like, damn, man, you haven't had a date in 2 years? Another guy in my program, okay? Young kid, he was 22 years old. I'm like, remember what it's like when you go to a club, you dance with somebody, and you like say, can I buy you a drink? He's like, I never did that because I was in COVID for 2 years. I'm like, what? Damn. Then on the flip side, you as a guy, you might meet an incredible woman, and that incredible woman is like, she appears great at first, but then she just has so much baggage she's carrying along with her, and she can't enjoy the great moments. What I'm saying is, relationships don't work. Men and women are more out of touch than ever, and none of us are living up to that great promise that we create on our online dating profiles, that great promise that we present on our first date. None of us are living up to it. So here's what we're gonna do, all right? Together. We're gonna come together, man, and we're gonna take this movement and this plan and this vision, and we're gonna create like the new fucking religion, because religion ain't keeping nobody together, all right? This is the new religion to bring everybody together. This is gonna be a hell of a ride and a world of experience. I promise you, it's gonna be beyond anything you've ever seen before. It's gonna change the game. It's gonna spread like wildflower, and you're gonna get ready for this incredible ride, and it's gonna just be great. So, I wanted to mention that. I want to let you know what I'm up to, what I'm going to be doing in the future, what to look forward for me. When this channel changes up, I'm going to do different types of videos about this, okay? So it might take a little while for it to catch on, but ultimately I know in the long run, this is like a 1-year plan or something, 2-year plan, it's going to be totally worth it. And by the way, if you haven't worked with me yet, and you want to get on one of my final bootcamp programs, not many left, this is my final bootcamp tour worldwide that I'm doing. You want to work with me in person, face to face, over the course of a weekend, where I can pinpoint your challenges and fix them in the moment, real time. Hop on a bootcamp program with me, okay? Go to liveinfieldtraining.com. That's liveinfieldtraining.com. Put it on the screen. It's also in the description of this video. You click that, talk to me and my team. My team of guys that are not designed to sell you on anything. Okay, they're gonna talk to you and see what your problems are and see if the program is a good fit. They're only gonna get you on if it's the right fit for you. They're taught to not pressure anybody. They're guys that are really smart. They've been on the road with me sometimes for 2 years. They're deep into this stuff. They really know it very well. You're gonna get a lot of value just from that conversation alone. Clarity is power. Whatever that guy said, he agrees. So that's it for now. And as always, keep in touch and don't be a stranger. Cheers.